non-verbal voices. It may sound a strange concept, but that many voices either make noises or are presences rather than actually saying things, don't appear less easy to respond to or have an interaction with. So what do we think about voices that might be crying or screaming, or we more feel them rather than hear them?
I've had quite a lot of experiences with animals, so voices that are animals. So I've had a gorilla, I have a dragon, I've had a bear, I have a lion, and I've had encounters with a dog I used to have, which has died now. So, and all of those would be non-verbal, and would be more about how I wouldn't necessarily see them, but I would feel them around me, and I could feel how, if they were being aggressive, or I could just sense the way they were moving and the way they were approaching me. And the dragon is more of an internal experience, so I have this sensation of a dragon inside me, which can be very small but also very big, and how that affects how I feel in my body. But figuring out how to engage with that when you don't necessarily can talk to it in words. I think with something like the gorilla was only there for a short while, but I just kind of observed it, so sort of tried not to be too scared of it, and just try and kind of spend some time just noticing how it was moving, how it was behaving, and sort of think a bit about what was going on at the moment, and also noticing that when I was thinking about certain things, it might behave in a certain way, so that helped me make some links about what it was about. So if I was thinking about a specific person or a specific situation, it would become a lot more agitated. So there was something, it seemed to be about something that was going on in my life at the moment that it was responding to. With other animal voices, I just sort of, it's a bit like going into a different world, a world in an internal world, so I'll just spend time with like a waking dream world.
Well, something I've come across quite a bit is voices are crying. So there might be young children crying or babies. One thing that seems to be helpful is to dedicate a relaxation or soothing exercise to that. We might see it as a part of the person, if that makes sense to the person. With somebody I worked with, though, they saw it more as a jinn, but still dedicating a soothing exercise towards that being seemed to help it calm down and have more of an interaction, positive interaction in quite a few situations. Dedicating, whether it's a sort of face massage or a breathing exercise or a tapping exercise, dedicating it to the agitated voice.
It may be a voice or a presence that don't talk to you in words. That doesn't mean that you can't talk to it.
Some of the other things that I've tried with people seem to find helpful is thinking about a conversation more from the embodied sense of the different parts. So maybe like using chairs in the room, sit in one chair and really get into the felt sense of this voice, if it's frustrated, and then just so really tune into the physical experience of that voice, and then switch into maybe a more calm, grounded. So you're kind of almost doing a dialogue or a conversation with the body language, and just tuning really into the felt sense of what you're generating, working more at an emotional level. And actually a lot of the talking using chairs would still do that really. You do some talking, but also really tuning into the physical thing that's being conveyed from that part, that perspective, that voice. So there's that more embodiment type dialogue. And then another technique that I use a lot is actually imagery as well. So not everyone will have necessarily an image of what their voice looks like, but a lot of people will remind them of a person in their life. And so actually just creating a scenario using imagery of where you're walking along the street and meeting this voice in the street, and how you might interact, how you might put an arm around it, or you might try and be a bit more assertive, whatever it is, you know, so you can enact an encounter through imagery. So again, I think it's back to this principle of having a curiosity to explore different ways into this relationship.
If a voice was verbal and was very clear that it didn't want to engage, how would you approach that?
Yeah, you might ask if there are any conditions you would be willing to, and explore that. One person voiced, but this is a voice that talked, preferred the outdoors, so was much happier when we had the Hearing Voices group outdoors. Partly attributed, we enjoyed it, so we said thanks to the voice for inviting that. So finding out, I guess, if there are other conditions that will help create safety. People can create safe places, and that's something you do in compassion focused therapy, and create a safe place sometimes for a voice to go to. It's a bit like dedicating exercise, dedicate a safe place for that.
I mean, I think if the voice is saying, I don't want to talk to you, like linking to what we were saying about function of voices, you know, that's really important. It's potentially protecting something that doesn't feel safe enough to go to. So just like Rufus says, I really respect it. There's definitely not trying to push away at that, but maybe come back to doing some of the kind of training work, some of the grounding work, some of the building up safeness work, check in, are there ways that we can understand what the fear is of this conversation.
Quite a few people report their voices. I think you've found that sometimes voices give you physical sensations, headaches, pain. Sometimes I'm not sure if the voices are taking credit for things they're not actually doing, but in the one situation, somebody had a stabbing pain in their neck, felt like the voice was attacking her, but had made a link between the voice being similar in some ways to somebody who had treated her very badly. So I'm a big fan of this empty chair approach. Rather than the voice, we just asked her to imagine the original person, the perpetrator, if you like, the person who treated her badly, in an empty chair, and confronting them, saying, what you did was wrong, I'm angry about it, I'm not going to let anyone treat me like that again, now I'm an adult. When she did that exercise, she felt the pain go away, there was a release. So yeah, sometimes I think voices are messengers about relationships from the past that need kind of addressing. So we're not actually addressing the relationship as voice, we're addressing the relationship they're messenger about.